Hi everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. This is my reading journal video. As you can see, it is getting so stuffed and I am hoping that I don't break the journal. No, I'm kidding. The Archer and Olive journals are really holding up really well, and I can only imagine how stuffed it's gonna be by the time I get to December. Okay, so this is August and it's going to be a little bit of a longer video because I did some updating for my Year of Smut Romance Challenge. And so I hope you have a project to do while you're watching this or a favorite drink and just enjoy watching this video. I love this project. It is so much fun. I always try to start with adding in the little itty bitty tiny book covers, and I am nearing the bottom of that as you saw. And my next step is to add in the covers, or not the covers, but the book titles to my stamped books. And I am almost done with the entire page right here. I just have 3 more stacks of books, and then I will move on to the other page that I have. So I'm getting close to filling that up, and that's exciting. I've read a lot of good books, but this month was kind of a meh month. There wasn't really like a lot of standout books. I couldn't decide on my monthly favorite, so I went ahead and passed on that, and I'll just fill it in next month when I do September. I added in 10 books on my Goodreads challenge in an olive green color because I just decided to use that for August, and I love the color scheme that I came up with, and I can't wait for you guys to see that portion. I did wind up with some fun new letters to add to the A to Z challenge, which was V, the Viscount who loved me, and S, something is killing the children, and G, good girl, bad blood. So I had 3 to add to the A to Z, and I read no Kindle again this month, so it was only 10 for the paper section and none for Kindle. I just really prefer getting my books this year through, you know, the library, of course, but just mainly paper or hardcover. That is the quickest way to get books. Kindle takes a while for to come around for my turn. Okay, so this is the Year of Smut, and this is where I need to kind of update it. If you remember in my July video, I printed the wrong size. So I have the new challenge July, August, September, and I'm going to update that. I also decided to add love lists and fancy ships to the single dad romance. I may change that once we get to December, but it does fit the criteria, but it's much more about the female character and how she improves herself. And so that's why. I don't know, I'm such a stickler with these rules. I'd love to know in the comment section if you're a stickler with the rules or you're just able to bend them. And the other one that I put was my favorite half night stand, and that was published in 2018. I could not find a great book cover resolution that was good, and so I wound up using, I think, the British cover because it has a different spelling of favorite, and I really like the colors too, so I went ahead and just used that. No big deal, right? Okay, so this is the new Year of Smut that I had to print, and I'm going to wind up with 4 books to add and a bingo going vertically down. So that was pretty exciting. So what I do when I put these in is I add a piece of white paper, fold it over, and then that way I have a flip up so I can do my faves, because there's 12 books and I'd like to do at least 3 of my favorites, if not 4. And like I said, in December, I will finish up all my challenges, and I will probably make that a separate video and kind of decide how I did with all of my challenges, including the Year of Smut and the Bloom Challenge and also Goodreads. Now, my faves wasn't stamping so great, but I think that's just because I needed to lift up the cover a little bit like I'm doing right now with that second box, but it worked. I got it all stamped and I have 3 boxes in 3 different colors. So I have that all done and now I can start working on the books that I need to add. I just add them to a little piece of scrap paper. You know I love to use my scraps. I have a big pile sitting next to my desk, just these itty bitty pieces of paper, but now I'm getting to use them for itty bitty books. So the first one is The Wedding Season, set at a wedding. And again, this book reminds me of Love List and Fancy Ships because it is marketed as a romance, but I think it is much more about the woman and her growth throughout the book. But there is a romance and it does happen at a wedding. So I went ahead and counted it for that and I gave it 4 stars. I also put in how to fake it in Hollywood because the surname starts with W. Surname is last name, I'm pretty sure, right? But if it's not, I will figure that out later. But I gave that one a 4.5 stars. The next one is 10 Trends to Seduce My Best Friend, and that was a school teacher romance. She was a teacher, and then there was a romance. So I counted it for that. The last one is going to be By Any Other Name. And 10 Trends got 5 stars. Absolutely love that book. That was a favorite video, and I'll link that up in the eye. By Any Other Name, I put 5 stars, but I actually meant to put 4.5 because it really was like 4 to 4.5 stars. It wasn't necessarily my favorite. I forgot to add a book over on the April, May, June section. I wanted to add in Love After Divorce, The Unplanned Life of Josie Hale. I really liked that book. No idea how I stumbled upon it, but I thought it was a really interesting book because she winds up, pregnant right after, she gets divorced, and then it just goes from there. I don't want to spoil anything, but I really enjoyed it. That was the third book, actually, that I was deciding because she also had a lot of personal growth and the romance was secondary. So I'm wondering if that's like a new trend in romance. I'm wondering because that is the trend I'm seeing. A lot of personal growth with a female character and then a side romance. Okay, the Bloom Challenge, you just saw me add the Hotel Nantucket for beach read and Something Wilder for made by 2 authors, or written by 2 authors. So I just added those. Now I'm going to build my calendar for August, and I mentioned earlier that I decided on green for my color scheme. I always tend to gravitate towards green and purple when I think of August, but this time I decided to just do green and some neutrals with gray and black, and it came out really cool. Kind of made me think of school, the back to school kind of vibe, so I really liked it. I love how it came out. So I've drawn all my lines and now I am writing Monday through Sunday. I will put a little dot on the right hand side, and I was trying to figure out when the month started, and I knew the 11th was when my kids started school, so I just counted back from there. Of course I know the day that my kids started. It's the 11th of August. Yes, I remember that. So it made it easy to figure out when August I needed to start the ones. So I've put in my little dots and then I'll put in the ones. And I think this time I decided to decorate my spread and then come back and fill in the dates of the books and the days that I read the books. I have this big die cut that says make time to read. Whether it's a die cut, I don't know. It might just be a piece of a journaling card. I also was trying to decide what kind of washi tape I wanted to use. I got this grid washi tape off of Amazon. I think it's linked in my Amazon shop, but I love it. I'm obsessed and I can't stop using it. So I'm using the black and white grid washi tape plus a leaf washi tape that I've had forever. I'll put some down on the bottom and also some at the top. I decided to cut that make time to read so that way one of the words read was over on the right hand side, and then it'll flow nicely between the 2 pages, which is what I want. I also left a little bit of space so I could stamp the 10, but when I put the 10 over there and started figuring out the placement of my stamps, I didn't like that. I put it above the make and that worked. I also had to leave that gap over on the left because I wanted the word read to go on 2 sides. So, but it worked out because I found a stamp that had the alphabet, and so I will stamp that in a little bit. I made my little cluster over on the right with the different stamps, and I've got it all figured out, so now I can go ahead and start stamping that. I did decide to add some leaf washi tape, so I just moved the make time for read up. That way I wasn't sandwiching the make time to read in between 2 washi strips. To me, that would have just been weird. So, moved that. Now I'm stamping, and I've chosen this kind of, to me it's olive green, but it's called Fern, and I really, really love it. It's a close to my heart ink, and I am just loving the dark green. Also decided to make a little row of books. There's even one laying down and one tilted. It's the Studio Calico stamp set that I am always linking. I don't know if it's sold out because it sells out so quick when they restock it, but I love it and I use it all the time. I stamped in 2 different colors of green for my books and then a gray. I wanted to add in some gray so that way it wasn't all green, because then I started thinking of March and St. Patrick's Day. Have I told you guys before how I'm weird with colors? Am I the only one? Leave a comment and let me know if you're weird about colors, because I don't know. I just think of months in certain colors. So I stamped just one more chapter and accidentally did it upside down, but I used my spare dot grid paper, stamped it, and then just cut it out, put it right on the top, and you can't tell. Using a small scrap pieces of paper so that way I can stamp my floral. It's an everyday greenery stamp set from Everyday Explorers. I love it. It's very versatile and I've used it all the time. So I'm stamping that all over the place, and now I can figure out where my books are going to go as far as the dates that I read them. I started off the month with a Hotel Nantucket. It's not normally my genre, and so it took me a while to get going with that book. I then went on to Something Wilder, and the second week I read The Viscount Who Loved Me. Oh my goodness, I loved the book. And now this might be controversial, but I think I loved the book more than I loved the series. I understand why they made the changes from the book to the series to make it more of a TV show, but I didn't like the changes they made. Once I read the book, I was like, really? They changed it? They did that? Oh, I didn't like it. So once again, the book is better. In the last week, I read the second book of the Good Girl series, I think it's called, Good Girl, Bad Blood. So I read that series. And then after that, I started Lessons in Chemistry, but I didn't finish it until September. Okay, so moving on to this page where I add in all my stats. I'm using the same washi and the same color scheme. That's what I tend to do with all of my reading journal spreads. Just keep the calendar page and the stats page the same. So I wanted to stamp all the stats, and once I get that all stamped, I can go back down to the bottom and stamp my little line for the pages. I don't try to make my stamping neat with when I stamp all the stats. I kind of like how it's wonky and messy, and yeah, it works for me. So when I started this journal, I think I've mentioned this before, but I started making lines with this markup stamp set with this box and using scratch paper to somewhat get it accurate. So that way it looked like a line and not a box. Some months it works, some months it doesn't. Now this month it didn't quite work because I was talking to my son about homework and chores, and so things are going to get a little wacky when it comes to making the genre lines. I don't know what happened, but I wound up making 3 lines instead of my typical 2, and I will just have to use some extra paper again to kind of cover up my boo-boo. Yeah, being distracted when you're stamping, I don't know. For me, it doesn't work. I read 3,264 pages, which is a great number. It's 10 books, so I mean, that's great. Any book read is great as far as I'm concerned. I'm stamping a few of those boxes on my spare paper, well, just the line of it, and then I can add it. But the funny thing is I did not realize that I had stamped a total of 3 lines until I got to stamping later on. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but like I said, I was not focusing and did not have my full attention on making this, but at least in that little section. But I'm going to stamp my boxes, and again, no Kindle books. So I'm like, maybe next month, if I don't have any Kindle books, I might just do a different category right there instead of adding in another 0. I'm stamping some more of those florals in the gray, just so that way I have that extra color. And well, it's a neutral, but I just wanted something more than just monochromatic green. So I'm doing paper and Kindle. And then the 2 kind of special categories are going to be so-so romance and challenge books, because I wound up reading 6 books for challenges, which is a really high number. Usually it's not that high. So-so romances were 3. I felt like the romances were just like, they were just so-so. I don't know, just so-so. It was How to Fake It in Hollywood, By Any Other Name, and My Favorite Half Nightstand. I don't know. I just felt like some of the stuff was just so predictable, very predictable. I think that was my main complaint with the 3 of those books. Very, very predictable, and I don't know, not like, woo, wow, it's a great romance, and I want to share it with everybody. It was just, okay, meh, okay. I am stamping the book rating for all of my books, and then I'll color it in with that same green marker. And sometimes when the book is like a 4.5, I try to color in a little portion of the 5th star and make it look like it's more of a less of a rating. So this month, my favorites pages are going to start off with the Viscount Who Loved Me. And I'm going to focus much more on how I absolutely love this book, more than the series, way more than the series. So, which is pretty surprising. But I've heard the 3rd book in the Bridgerton series is not people's favorite. So I'm kind of nervous to read that one. But I have to get to number 4 before the new series comes out. I'm flipping back and forth between the calendar and the stats page. That way I know the dates that I read these books. And I just have 2 more at the bottom. I just have 2 more at the bottom, and then I will be done with the dates. I'm going to add read more books, and I wanted a little more green on my page. So I'm going to add another leaf in a little bit. I think that this is where I realized that I needed to fix my lines for the genre because I couldn't write. I couldn't write what I needed to write. It was just too bumpy. That's the word I'm looking for, bumpy. Lack of a better word. Trying to write over the pieces of paper, it just looked wonky. So the genres I picked were women's fiction, contemporary, romance, mythology, Regency, horror, thriller, and young adult. Another favorite this month is the horror, which is the graphic novel Something is Killing the Children, which is just creepy as all creepy can get. But it was like an early October spooky book because there's 4 of the graphic novels. And you guys, I loved it. I mean, it's gory and it's gruesome, but I don't know. I just really liked it, and it was very interesting and different. So yeah, it was very good. All right, so this is all done, and I absolutely love my August journal, and I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing another reading journal update. Thank you so much for watching this extra long video. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Thank you so much. Bye.